Okay, so we're trying to discuss AI, right? Artificial intelligence. Now, we said the very first thing you do EDA, right? And before you even do EDA, you must make sure you first define objectives. Then, of course, you collect data. While you're trying to collect data, you want to make sure that you clean it, you transform it. The classical example I gave was the BMI index. You want to check obesity. You can't check obesity without getting BMI. You want to check the impact of a policy of government. As an analyst, you're going to see yourself working with different persons in different fields, with doctors, with people in NGOs, with people in the academia, in different sectors, people in tech, people in doing social welfare. Now, a policy, how do we know a policy is working? That means that we need to collect data and now try to see the impact of that policy. Now, when you collect the data, sometimes the data is not in the format that you want that data to be. It then means you need to transform that data. Take, for instance, you got things in kg. Let's say people's weight in kg. But is a European company or is a US company, let's say US company that you're consulting for, and that data is a Nigerian stuff. If peradventure they said, okay, they need it in pounds, right? Pounds in terms of weight. Are we following? It then means that you're going to be talking about ounce. You won't be talking about grams. So it then means you need to convert kg to ounce, so that maybe a researcher or a sponsor or somebody that's going to be maybe financing the project or your team in US can understand what you are talking about. Because, in Nigeria, when somebody says he's 70 kg or is 80 kg, they say, okay, it's a normal weight. But I can bet if I tell you that somebody is 500 pounds, you still cannot tell if the person is, except you have lived in the US or you lived in those areas where they always use pounds, and you've also lived there, or you have done jobs that have made you to understand the differences. Who can tell me 500 pounds in terms of somebody's weight? Is it okay? Is it normal, or is much?
That's a lot of pounds for weight. The person can be said to be obese.
So 500 pounds.
Yeah.
500 pounds in weight. Right? So that's large. Okay, if I say 100 pounds, you see? But a lot of us now in this audience, when they say 100 pounds to somebody kg, you might be thinking it's okay for an adult, but it's not.
It's not okay.
So this is just one example where you might need to start transforming your data. You might need to say, okay, I need my items in pounds, or I need it in kg, or I need something in a particular SI units. You do all of those transformations. Or for instance, they said you collect data, and that data is going to be salary. And most of the times we calculate salary per year, not per month. True or false?
True, sir.
Yes, most standards you calculate salary per year. So you say, okay, the person is let's say Nigeria, the person is earning 2.5 million per year. Now, if there's a form or there's a questionnaire and you collect such kind of data, and you want to do something that have to do with how much people can spend per month, it then means that you have to divide that salary by 12. True or false?
True, sir.
Good. You have to divide that salary by 12 to be able to get how much the person, all of your respondents, how much they earn per month. That is what data transformation. Then, of course, before you start doing this, then you now do this. Then, I'm trying to explain AI. So in AI, what you're trying to do is you're saying, I have a model already. Now let me now feed that model into a software, into a machine. And let software make decisions by itself without having recourse to me. So if I have to make any decision at this stage, it is what? Human intelligence. At this stage, what we're doing now is what? This data we have collected, we've understood it, we have a model for it, we have a formula that tells us that if we put this, we'll get this. If we put this, we'll get this. For an employee, if you give the employee, if you pay the employee so amount of money, if the employee comes early to work every day, if you are always training the employee, you are going to get a very successful employee. Or maybe if the employee came in with so grade or so level of certificate, you're going to get this. Then if you have this, if you have this, if you have this, if you have this, then the staff is not going to do so well. If you have this, if you have this, if you have this, the staff is going to do so poor. The staff is going to do so poor. It's going to perform very, very bad. Now, because we already have that model, we understand how that thing works, which is always based on data. We now create a model, we now create a formula, right? So most of the times it's the software or your machine learning algorithms that's going to be doing that. Then that's where you now have artificial intelligence. In artificial intelligence, what you're now doing now, you're now applying to a machine, to a software, to anything, to a script, to a platform, so that when you just put in 1, 2, 3, it will go back and check its data and now give you an output. So you cannot talk about artificial intelligence without what? Data analytics. You cannot talk about machine learning without what? Data analytics. And the point is that at what point do you have at what point do you have machine learning coming? It's once you have done analytics and you see some kind of trends, right? You see trends, you see relationships, you see patterns, you see, what's it called? What other word again? Once you see that this particular data or this particular item, let's say your age, has a relationship with your intelligence, it then means that if we have this, we can be able to tell this. There's a relationship between where you live and how much you are earning as salary. If there's no relationship between those two things, then we cannot create a model for it. And the only way you can create such kind of relationships is by plotting some charts. For instance, here we have a chart of salary versus, let's say, accommodation. Right? So the question is that is there a relationship between the salary somebody earns, and where the person is living? So until you can establish that from data, you can establish that from your trends when you plot it. If there's no relationship between those guys, then you cannot forecast. You cannot say, okay, if somebody is living here, that means that this. And of course, you're going to have what we call outliers. I think when you're going through the materials, you're going to see some of these things. Okay, that's enough basis for what we're trying to do going forward. So you now understand why you need to understand the data science process. So the data science process is first you define your objectives, you collect the data, you explore it, you create some models, you create intelligence, then you take decisions, right? So people are going to take decisions, and people can start taking decisions at this point or at this point, right? After the modeling, they can take decisions. If they need to use a software, an application, a hardware, they can take decisions as well. Now, why did I send you guys a questionnaire design documentation, right? It's because for us to be able to do this, right, we need to collect data. So most of the times, your data is already given to you, but at times you don't get your data. So as an analyst, you should understand the entire process. Then you should be able to comfortably tell whoever is involved, either the programmer, the software person, the hospital, the NGO, the tech company, whatever, depending on the field, wherever you are doing your analytics, you can work anywhere, right? You can help them properly define objectives, because the kind of decisions they want to make will tell what the objectives are. So it's always connected. If you don't define your objectives properly, then you might be getting the wrong data. Now, I want to ask a few questions. How many of us have done a research before? And in that research, you are midway your research, or you're almost done, but you got confused because you either didn't collect the right data, or you didn't even know why you were doing what you were doing. I need answers. How many of us, how many persons? You've been in this kind of situation. It can be your personal research at work, maybe academic research. I love my class to be interactive. So please unmute yourself and you can speak up. Or you can use the chat, any of them. Okay. Daniel says he's raising his hand up. So I need you to explain. I need you to share your scenario for me. So you might likely have to use the what's it called? The voice. Use your mic.
Okay. Me, in my own case, there was a time the company I was working with, we had to go out and look for customers and then fill form for them, because some of them could not even fill the form by themselves, account opening form.
Okay.
So we went out like that.
So,
we collected their data.
This is for a let's say a company that does, let's say, thrift loans, account opening, like a mini bank or something of that nature, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Right on.
Yes. And so I discovered that some of them could not fill the form by themselves. So we're trying to fill and collect their data for the account opening. So after we left the place for the collection, coming to the office to begin to open those accounts, I discovered that so many of them did not sign the form by themselves. So we get stuck. So without the signature, because the signature must be uploaded for the account process, opening process to be completed. So without that, we have to still go back to them to do the signature before coming back to open the account.
Now,
so at that point, we couldn't move on. I couldn't move on. There was nothing I could do. Some of them, I did not collect their passport, only to discover later that I didn't do that, and it hindered me.
Yeah, so you see that, okay, now, let's say your boss wants to take a decision and say, okay, how many accounts did we open for 1 week? So that I can know if to go get a bigger license.
Complete what I wanted to do.
To go get a bigger license, or to do something else, or to collaborate with more companies, or to maybe get more funding. That boss cannot take a decision because the right data was not collected. So you cannot even count or do a chart on Monday, total number of customers, accounts opened, Tuesday, total number of accounts opened. Wednesday, you cannot do that because you didn't even collect the data that is required for you to even complete the account opening. So somebody else, I need another case study, another example, who have been in this kind of situation. So I need explanation. I'm waiting. Nobody? I can't believe that. Nobody here have done any research. Joy, you've not done any research. Comfort, Carl, you've not done any research. Mr. Abubakar, you've not done any research. Mr. Kana, you've not done any research. So you always got it right. Okay, somebody's sending a chat. Okay, somebody says during my end of year project in school, I had such issue. I was stuck before I got help from my supervisor. So, and most likely the supervisor might just assume values. So the thing is that if you don't get the right data, you're going to have issues with either analytics or machine learning or AI or even techniques. So that's why we're trying to learn the statistical method. So how many persons have gone through this and you have exhausted this? So I want us to get to business now. How many persons have gone through this and you have a question, so you can ask? I don't need to repeat this. You already have it. You already have the video. Who have a question on this questionnaire design? How we should design questionnaires, what the standard should be, how your options should be, so that you don't have issues while trying to do the analysis. Because you can be called upon to start from the beginning. At times, the data is already collected and you're giving the data. As an analyst, you should be able to tell from the data if data was gotten well, or so you need to do some initial evaluation. So you can start evaluating the data you have, and you can now start saying, okay, please, you guys didn't get this correctly. You guys didn't get this correctly. You guys shouldn't have this kind of question. This question, the options will not allow me to be able to do the ABCD. So it's your understanding how to do this, standardized questionnaires that will tell if they just give you data, you just collect it and start analyzing. Okay, I have somebody drop something on the chat. Okay, somebody said still on it. So who have finished this questionnaire design? I sent 2 videos. One was 20 minutes, without 20 something minutes or less, or 30. Who have finished this? I need questions, please, so that we can start doing some hands-on now.
I think the video you send is more of explanation to the first attachment, because when I read it at the first time, I didn't really capture everything. But when I now gone through the video, the part 1 and part 2,
yeah,
it was just an eye opener and they exposed me to a horror of things that I couldn't have understood.
Yeah. So do you have questions, having gone through the videos or gone through these ways to collect questions now, what to do, what not to do, how to make sure that you don't have issues? Take, for instance, this one now. Smoking in public place should not be abolished. So you are asking a negative.
It's a negative question.
Yeah,
so which means
to respond
need to either, yeah, that explanation you put on that video honestly makes it clear to me, because initially I was like, if you say yes, are you supporting the motion? Or if you say no, which of them? So yeah, so it got me a bit kind of confused.
Yes.
Then there's another one. We also indicated the dot. If it's not close to the answer, what are we talking about? Are you saying no or yes? You know, those kind of confusing stuff. But immediately you put up those video explanation, I think I got a whole lot of things better here. So if whenever we're asking a question, this kind of question, it's for you, like what you said here, it's not a question, it's just like a statement. So when you have a statement like that, it not really get us what we want. It is better to be a simple question. So I think it's fine.
Like, for instance, I think 2 days ago, my son, his assignment, I was like wondering, imagine this is negative. So you need a negative to be a yes. Hope you know.
Yes. Yes, that's what you also explained there.
Yeah. You need a negative to get a yes. So imagine somebody wants to answer, maybe somebody that's not so educated or even literate enough, basic literacy. He will not understand that this no means, it's just like saying, wouldn't you come for you understand? So it's not everybody that can understand would you mind or wouldn't you mind? So it might be complicated for some people to now know that, oh, I need to answer a no to mean a yes. So the standard is normally you want to make it very clear and straightforward. So okay, I have somebody dropping something on the chat. Okay, Queen, I have finished the 2. So I know you have finished the 2. This class is, I want to do a review before we go to the hands-on. I have around 10, 15 or 20 minutes more. So please, I want to make sure that everybody, you understood this. So questions, 5 minutes. Let's take questions, please. Questions. I have about 12 students here and okay, 10 students here and nobody have questions. That means you have not gone through it. Okay, if you have not gone through it, unmute yourself and say, I have not gone through it. And also, if you have gone through only one part, also indicate, because I need you to you should have completed it before this class.
Sorry. Hello, Victor. Sorry. My question here, there's a place you talked about rating. Rating from one scale of 1 to whatever,
Yeah.
I think 1 to 10.
Yeah,
so I don't really capture. Sorry?
Yes, right on.
I don't really capture what you mean that it's not it will not give us the right information that we need.
Okay.
So I need you to explain it better to me, please.
Okay, so what you do for me is before I answer that question, you go to you indicate the exact page. So take off 1 minute now, look for the exact page so that I can answer you very directly. So while you are trying to do that, let's look at Likert scale. How many of us know what is Likert scale? Likert scale, I need answers.
So you made mention of it in the course of the training.
So I'm not talking about me mentioning it now. I'm not asking you now. So what is Likert scale? You know, the training is two-way. I do my part, you do your part. So somebody just said,
no, sir.
I
You said you have a record on it that we should go and listen to it and learn it. That's what you said. So
that's what I'm saying now. So I expect that by now that you have done that. So I'm not asking you a question based on that thing. So I expect answers. So I don't expect you to tell me, okay, I have finished it. So no, I want you to now go beyond listening, watching, and you now knowing it. Okay, somebody said a scale commonly used in formulating research question. Yes, a scale. Look at it here, right in your front. A Likert scale is a rating scale to measure opinions, attitudes, behaviors, right? So let me open up. Okafor, I'm coming, just a moment. Oh, this is very small. Okay, this is good. So you need to be a professional analyst. You need to be somebody that can collaborate with anybody from anywhere. So if you're learning anything you are learning to standard. So the questionnaire is going to help you design your questionnaires to standard. If you see a question, a sheet that was not done properly, part of your job as an analyst is to say, okay, no, this is not correct. This is not correct. This was not done well, because this is going to affect. We talked about bias in the video. It's going to affect what you are going to be analyzing at the end of the day, because you can finish analyzing and you cannot hold something to be able to make decisions, because the goal of an analyst is to help decision makers take decisions. And whatever kind of software you want to use, that's irrelevant. Whether you want to use Python, SPSS, R, Excel, that is not the issue. The issue is that at the end of the day, can we make decisions based on what you've done? So we are trying to learn all the things we need to learn to become better analysts. Okay, let me answer your question, Okafor. Yes, page what? Have you gotten the page?
Sorry, I'm just trying to browse through it.
Good. So let me explain this. Now,
okay.
You're going to see that we have a 5-point scale. We have a 7-point scale. I will drop this on the WhatsApp group once I'm done with this class. You see this 5-point scale. Anytime you want to ask a question that has to do with satisfaction,
yes,
you should say very dissatisfied, satisfied. So this is the middle ground. So in your Likert scale, you must make sure that your options have a middle ground. Those are some of the points I made mention in the video. There must be a middle ground. If there's no middle ground, then you're going to have issues with respect to how people answer. You're not going to find that a lot of people are answering to the left, or a lot of people are answering because they cannot find something either at the middle or something not too far, but I don't know whether you get what I'm trying to say. So there must, in your questions, there must be middle ground. So you can use 3, but 3 is not always a good standard. So it should be 5 or what? 7. If you use 4, we will not have a middle ground.
Okay.
If you use 4, I want to say satisfied. Now, how you going to, what is now going to be your middle ground of neither here or there? Okay, somebody is asking on the chat before the end of the lecture, explain ED. Okay, I'll do that. So the standard is you do what? 5 or you do 7. You shouldn't do 10 or you shouldn't do far above 7 because once you start doing the above 7, you start having confusion. People will take a lot of time to answer. So in terms of satisfaction, this is very good stuff to use. Likelihood. What is the likelihood of you're taking an advanced course in data science after this course? What's the likelihood? So you answer very unlikely, unlikely, and maybe I will not take likely. They're very likely. The level of concern, awareness. So you see, these are the words that are standards that you should use. You see, some people will mix likelihood and satisfaction. Some people will mix agreement with satisfaction. Most of us will seen all of this. Most of us, if you give opportunity now, you're going to do that because after this class, you're going to be doing an assignment. Somebody's laughing. And I'm going to vet the assignment in class, everybody's assignment one by one. We're going to review it. I'm going to now tell you what is wrong, what you did well, what you didn't do well. So if you didn't do my assignment, you'll not be permitted into the Zoom class.
Jesus is Lord.
Of Nazareth, yes. Somebody have a question?
Hello, Victor. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you right on.
Yes, I think I have a scenario whereby some of this kind of questionnaire in terms of scaling.
Okay, please a second.
Sometimes,
sorry, a minute. Let me grab water. Please write on.
Okay, I say that sometimes it got confusing, especially when a questionnaire in terms of scaling is not well defined. When they will now ask you to rate, rank something in order of 1 to 10 without identifying if 1 is the highest or 10 is the highest. So that kind of thing.
Okay.
It used to happen.
Now, they know the difference between ranking and Likert, because if it's to rank, for instance, it then means that we want to reorder. But the thing is that our options should be in a way that we're going to have, like you said, we're going to have, let's say, bad, very, very bad to the end. We also have options that are very, very good to the right, very, very bad to the left. Once you don't have that, it's difficult.
Yes.
Same thing, if you are giving your respondents questions or you are designing your questions. Okay, let's say your company says, okay, we want to see customer satisfaction or client satisfaction or employee satisfaction rate based on whatever. Now, you need to now ask your boss or whoever is involved, okay, what are we trying to look at for? What? Because what you want to look at for is you trying to say, okay, I want to define my objective. So once you properly define those objectives, or you can also ask what kind of decisions you want to make. Okay, we want to do 13th month salary. We want to do 13th month salary. Take for instance, how can you do 13th month salary when you don't ask? This is a very large company. I've done data sets that has, let's say, 50,000 respondents, 50,000 staff. So in that case, for instance, you need to be able to know what their salary, what it is. You need to know for each person, so that peradventure, if you want to calculate 13th month, and let's say they say, okay, the boss says we're going to pay 20% salary as 13th month allowance. So that means that you need to know, you need to calculate 20% of the person's salary, which will now be a new column. So we have column A, the person's name, the person's gender. In some companies, people don't like to talk, they don't talk about gender most of the times, or your race, or where you're coming from, or there's some kind of parameters they might not ask for. All of the parameters, then your salary, then 13th month. So if we know your salary and the other answers you've given to us, we cannot calculate what your 13th month is going to be. Then we can also, as the analyst, calculate what is going to be the sum of the 13th month from Mr. A to the last person, the total 13th month allowance. Then we cannot tell ourselves that, yes, to improve employee satisfaction, we can pay 13 months because 13 months is just 10 million naira or $10 million. Imagine, we didn't even calculate what 20% is of our total salary, monthly salary of our staff. We now come out and announce that, yes, we are going to give 20%. But you did not even calculate what 20% is of everybody. What's going to happen at the end of the day? You can tell me.
The analysis will not be correct because of
not necessarily analysis. Not necessarily analysis is not going to be correct. Analysis will be correct, but in terms of paying out the 13th month, now it will not work because you don't have the money. You get the point?
How, sir?
And the problem was that you didn't collect the salary of each of those persons. Maybe they are freelancers, maybe they're not even full-time staff. You didn't collect those salaries. Okay, so Likert scale is very, very important. So you see the examples. I'll drop this for you. So if you are doing 5, you use this frequency, appropriateness, level of difficulty, importance. So these are very nice standards you should use. Okay, we want to conduct a research, everybody. So who can tell me a research that we can conduct? Because we're going to be doing this today and tomorrow, and we're going to be doing our analysis, let's say in the next 3 weeks or the next 4 weeks in the training. So these first 2 classes is for us to understand questionnaire design our questionnaires. We'll submit them tomorrow. We'll vet them. We'll put them on Google Form or Microsoft or Kobo Toolbox or wherever. Then we start sending it out. So in 3 weeks, everybody or each by group, we should have respondents. Then later on, we'll not start analyzing it in class. So you're going to be analyzing real data. You're not going to be analyzing somebody else's data. In some cases, in some scenarios, in some of our hands-on, we already have data. So in this scenario, we are saying that if you are going to collect your own data, does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. So that's the purpose of these 2 classes, today and tomorrow. So I'm asking the question now. So what research should we conduct for this class? So 3 research. We're going to be conducting 3 research. So number 1 is what? I need suggestions.
Maybe can we look at the desire of learning data science within where do we target?
Yes, take your time, think about it.
Uh,
Coin your like your objective. What are you trying to look out for? Yes, I'm listening. Everybody. So he's talking about learning is skill, learning data science, learning data analytics. So we can think in that line. So what can we look at for? Can we look at, okay, what's the rate at which people, or will people want to learn data science, data analytics, and whatever? So keep thinking. Other persons have noted number one. Number two, it can be in health, it can be in academics, it can be in politics, it can be in the cash crunch that is happening now. Anything. We're going to get real data and we're going to be analyzing them in the next 2-3 weeks. Okay, somebody said the degree of awareness of Nigeria about global. Oh, nice, awesome. So somebody says, I've dropped something on the charts. The degree of awareness. Okay, so now see, I'm coming in now. So I'm going to say awareness of Nigerians. So we'll talk about the degree when we start defining those questionnaires. So awareness of Nigerians about global warming, climate change. Okay. Climate change, global warming in Nigeria. So I'll say citizens awareness. Citizens awareness and some other thing. I think the person that posted this item, give me something else we can be looking at for aside citizens and awareness. Joy, Mr. Daniel, Mr. John, Mrs. Kalu, Mrs. Joy, Mr. Okay, Kanayo has dropped something for us. So I'm waiting, Mr. Bubakar, Mr. Daniel, Mr. Okafor, are you still there? I'm waiting.
Abubakar suggested the learning of data science. I'm trying to see how I can perfect the question.
Yes, perfect your question. We have 5 minutes for that. Okay, somebody is saying that was why I qualified it by using degree of knowledge. Yes. Now, the thing is that is a good standard that when you are doing your questionnaire or when you are doing your research, yes, it's good to be very direct, but it's going to limit you. One reason why it's going to limit you is that there's always several things surrounding or the pointers to why people have, for instance, awareness, the low awareness or the high awareness. So if you just start asking questions directly with respect to the degree of awareness, you might not get a very holistic work. Because another thing is that you want to also make sure your work is so encompassing, also direct, and creates room for other researchers to like work on it too. So you want to make it direct, but have some kind of balance, some kind of spread, so that you can pick. For instance, for citizens awareness, you want to look at education, you want to look at whether they watch news, whether they read about, how do they get information about happenings around the world. So there are so many things that can play a role. So it might not be so good for you to start asking or start being so direct with respect to citizens awareness. So when we start doing the questionnaire design, we will now become very direct in that particular section of the questionnaire, because our questionnaire is going to involve things like biodata, things like where are you? Which part of the world? Are you in China? Are you in US? Are you in Nigeria? We get those data so that we can now start doing classification. We can start asking ourselves, is it because somebody's in Europe, that's why he's more aware? Is it because somebody's in Nigeria, that's why it's out? But if you don't get all of those other data, or if you don't check other things that are pointers to citizens awareness, it's not be holistic. That's the point. That's why I'm trying to make it slightly broad. Okay. Some person can drop in some stuff here. Okay. Okay, good. Awesome. Climate change awareness survey, a study of public perception and knowledge in area. Awesome. So I'll just replace this with what I have here. This is far better. Okay, so somebody is asking the rate of PWDs inclusion in politics. Awesome. So we have some set of PWDs in our midst that's taking this course also. They might not be in your room. So for their sake, we're going to add a third one. So let me pick that. So I have one very nice one about Naira. So I'm going to include it. Maybe it is rate of PWDs inclusion in so I have this learning data science interest among investors. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So effect of Naira depreciation on the citizens.
So are you referring?
So okay, so we've atomized 4 research work we want to do, want to carry out. Then we will now go ahead. Let me just drop it in Microsoft Word. So I was trying to say that let us do some slight adjustments with respect to making sure that at the end of the day, we don't miss out on reasons, solutions, and decision making. Can we do any adjustment to any of this with respect to this? 2 minutes. Are we good to go?
Sir, please come again. What did you say?
So I am saying that I want us to do an adjustment to these questions, taking a clue from these 3 items. If you see this research objective, is looking at reasons, right? Right? It's looking at it's trying to look at reasons why or what the interest is. Here it's looking at will I say reasons? Okay, here it's looking at reasons, right? Effect is looking at reasons. Now, your research work is going to make a whole lot of sense if you start infusing solutions. If you start infusing what is going to help decision makers take an action into the research question itself. The core, we can break this down into like 2, 3 objectives. So, but I'm trying to look at how we can make this as powerful, as strong, as very objective as possible. 1 more minute. If you have adjustments to... Okay, let's move on. So, which of them are we going to use? So let's take climate change. I love the climate change tax. So, if you want to be a very good researcher, what you want to do is that you want to make sure that you learn from other guidelines. There is nobody's on how did they put it again? Island of you don't know it all. So you want to do a lot of looking at what has been done with respect to what you're working on. You want to see also other standardized research work or questionnaires looking that are in your own area. So that is going to inform you about what we call research gap. All of us know what is research gap. I need somebody, Okafor, please tell me, research gap. What do you call, what is research gap? As an analyst, you're doing an analysis and they say, what's a research gap? What are we talking about? Have we gone to bed, everybody?
No, I think the gap is always that aspect that the reason why we need to feel we conduct the research.
Good.
What is it lacking
Awesome.
that we need to fill in?
So research gap is saying people have done A, people have done C, people have done D, all about climate change and awareness, but nobody have done B. So to know the gap, you have to look at what other people have done. Okay, somebody dropped something on the chat. Gray areas that have not been covered. Awesome. So what have not been done, what have not been covered, you want to touch it. So our research gap is going to be this B. So if we want to do that, we go to Mr. Google. So I will just copy this, my guy. I'll copy this guy. I'll go to Google, type this. Aha. Mr. Kana, you are the creator for this research work. Did you go to Google before you gave us the research question?
No, I did not.
Okay, good. So you see that some people have done something like what you want to do. So you're seeing public perception of climate change and its impact. Are you seeing and its impact? So you're looking at more than one thing. So impact of climate change awareness on. So you see, you're looking at climate change awareness, but you're trying to see the impact on a category of persons. Here, public perception of climate change and its impact. So I see. So most of the times in research, well, that's what I was trying to let you guys know earlier on. You don't just pick one. At times, it might be too narrow. So you want to take one or two things together, do some comparative analysis, look at how this is related to this, or look at how this is whatever. Or if you so decide that you want to make it so definite, then you want to start looking at the reasons why. You want to start looking at the effects of this thing you are looking at. Okay, so that is one. So in every of your research work, you are going to tell your respondents about the research work. That's to say, you want to tell them why you are carrying out the research work. Then reasons why they should help you feel it, right? And how that can help public good. It can be public good, it can be for the purpose of research or whatever. So now, that's the first thing you do. So you do a paragraph or two to explain all of that. The next thing you want to do, you want to have sections. Section A, Section B, Section C, Section D. So let's just have 4 sections because we want to just restrict it to 12 questions. So it's good standard for your first section to be the person, about the respondent. Who is following?
Me.
Okay, good. Who else, please?
I'm also there.
Okay, good. Mr. Abubakar, good. Who else? Sorry.
I'm there.
Okay, I'm seeing somebody writing something. Okay, I'm following. Okay, good. Awesome. So the first section is about the respondent. So the kind of questions you want to ask here is, this is Nigeria. How many of us learned something about sample data in the video? Sample data, if you know it, you can just start speaking up or use the chat. Tell me what is sample data and tell me why it is important. Okay, somebody says it's raining heavily. You can't hear me. Yes, I'm recording it. Unfortunately, the record is going to be so long now. So, but I'm recording. It's more than an hour. So who can tell me sample data, please? Daniel, sample data and give me an example, then tell me why it is important. Fast, please, everybody. Or anybody that can bail him out. My students have gone to bed.
So we are here, we have not gone to bed.
I think sample data is like a data that's like what you would normally come across. It may not paint the real picture, but it is from somewhere, like raw data that you are likely to come across that you can use for, can I say practice? I'm struggling with terms, but I hope what I'm trying to say has been passed.
Yeah, you're trying, but I need us to get to data analyst professional level nomenclatures, right? So who can try? You have an expo right in front of you. Sample data, tell me what is sample data, then give me an example, then tell me why it is important or why you cannot just but use sample data. Okafor, can you try? Daniel, who is sleeping, who is awake?
Yes. Sample data, when we look at, based on the script, when we look at the population, it's okay, we need to look at the number of people.
Because we're talking about,
let's just assume like Nigeria.
Because in this where is this guy? In this scenario now, we're talking about Nigeria. Mr. Kanaya wants to do a research on public perception, climate change awareness in Nigeria. Now, the question is, you need to understand some of these concepts to do better questions. Yes, right on.
So like now, Nigeria, like you said, it's about 213 million people.
Yeah.
We need to look at the sample. Let's just assume that we are picking up 500 people. So while picking up that 500 people, we look at the geographical location, we look at the gender, we look at the age limit, so that we need to capture all this in that number of people we want to sample that can give us kind of accurate representation of the population.
Good. So accurate representation of the population. Why don't you use the 230 million? Mr. Abubakar, why can't you use 230 million for your research work as a professional analyst?
Hello, sir. Sorry, I didn't hear you very well.
Okay, I said, Mr. Okafor is saying that we use sample data so that because it's going to help us to have an idea, or it's going to give us a true representation of the entire population. I'm not asking you, I'm not saying, okay, why should we use the sample data? Why don't just us collect data from 230 million?
There are many reasons. The reach out usually in research is just usually a percentage of the population that is usually being captured, and this will.
So my question is, why is it a percentage? Why can't we use the 200 and something million?
Okay, one is the cost of the research. Secondly, the time
serving,
availability of time.
Serving questionnaire to 230 million persons. Two, availability of time.
Time. So the logistic is also there to cover all the part of the country.
Logistics of sending out questionnaire to one. So the reasons are so numerous, so we can't actually get to everybody. So that's why we now need to do what? Use sample data. So sample data calculator, right? We can use this, or sample size calculator. So if we are 230 million persons, if our population is 230 million, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we need about how many persons? Okay, this calculator is wrong. It's the wrong guy. So 213, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I just need about 300 and something persons. Now, the thing is that these 300 and something persons must be spread through across the different geographical locations. Are we together? This is the reason why you have senators and House of Rep total numbers in Nigeria. This is why it is 360 in total. Are we together? Is somebody following? Because whatever these 360, yes, these 360 members say, they can spend all of our money by tomorrow. That's what we want. They can make the dollar rate to become 3,000 per dollar. That is what we choose. They are our choice. Does that make sense? So if you are shouting and you are crying, you are saying, oh, what is happening? No. We put them there. So there's a whole formula behind sample size. You can just check it out. My first degree is mathematics, and for some of us that have a statistics background, you might get to do some of the calculations behind this. It's just a lot of formula, but you can always, as a researcher, you can just use any of these online calculators, and you can just put in your population size and your confidence interval, leave all of this as default, and just calculate. You will get an average amount. So for Mr. Kanayo that is doing this research, he just needs to make sure that he gets this research to 200 and 300 and something persons. If it's not up to 300, 400, it will be too small. It will be too negligible to use that as a yardstick for the entire population. Does that make sense? So because we need to have a spread, so we need to ask questions about, I think we can even ask those questions here too. Geography, right? Geodata. So in this second section, we can start asking questions. We can start picking the items. Public perception, right? Then of climate change. So we can start asking questions about climate change. This second section, we start asking questions about perception. This part, we can start asking something about solutions or reasons, or other questions, other things that might be responsible for the persons making such kind of or giving us such kind of responses. So a very good example of 3 questions we can ask for the person is that we can just ask the person's age bracket. We can ask the person's states of residence. It then means that we need to have 300 and something persons, and we need to split it across the 36 states. If we don't want to go by 36 states, we can go by the 6 geographical locations. So we can say 385, let's just call it 400. 400 divided by 6 zones. So we want to make sure that we have about 60 respondents per geographical locations. If we want to go by 36 states, FCT, thank God, Supreme Court have said that Abuja is a state now. So 37, so we want to have at least 10 persons per state. So these 10 persons are going to determine our public perception in Abuja. And when we come to these 10 persons, we want to split it across the local government areas. Amak is very central, so we can give them 3. We cannot give the other areas 2, 2, 2, 2 for those of us that are in Abuja. For those of us, sorry, where are you connecting from?
Maiduguri, sir.
Maiduguri. What about Mr. Abubakar? Mr. Abubakar, where are you connecting from? Mr. John, where are you connecting from?
Benue State.
Okay, Benue State. Okafor, where are you connecting from? I guess Owerri, right?
Yes.
Queen, where are you connecting from? Okay, so for whichever place you are, okay, some persons have dropped. Okay, some persons say Umuahia, some persons say okay, different areas. So wherever you are connecting from, whatever you are not connecting from, rather from whichever state you want to consider, you want to make sure that when they are distributing those questionnaires, they split it up so that we have true representation. So the kind of question, okay, Queen said Abuja. So this question, when I go to state of residence, if we like, we can say / local government area. Then one other question we can ask is what age bracket. We can ask question about your degree, right? So we want to check education level, whether, because if before you start this particular research, you have to look at what other people have done. So because that's going to help you now design your own questionnaire. So for me, for instance, even without looking at that, I will always see that somebody's educational level might tell what his perception is going to be, whether he's going to believe that, oh, there's something like climate change, because climate change has to do with geography, right? So whether he even did geography in school, whether he did social studies in school, whether he did integrated science in school, whether he attended a HND, an OND, a first degree or PhD level or whatever. So that's going to help me gauge whether there's a relationship between what he's saying in climate change and what his educational level is. Then, of course, we cannot go deeper. The next 3 set of questions, we cannot start asking climate change. Do you know what's climate change? You can have a yes or no. And it's standard practice not to have so many yes or no, right? Just have 1 or 2. Then, do you think, let's say, people, let's say, doing things that will help the climate is important? So here now we're talking about Likert scale. We can bring in agreements. We can bring agreements.
Hello, sir.
Agree, disagree.
Hello.
Agree.
Hello.
You can bring one of these.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Since we are using the Likert scale,
yes,
how about the first question for finding out how much they know is how familiar are you with the concept of climate change and
so you see the Likert scale
warming,
that it can help
so that using the Likert scale we can have very
familiarity, because we're talking about perception. So say, how familiar are you with? So you can ask those questions. You know, I'm just guiding you, so I'm not doing your questions for you, Mr.
Oh, okay.
We are going to do this with somebody else. So in class, in the group, we're going to pair ourselves so that we can do it as a group work, but we must submit it by tomorrow. So you can ask questions here, perception. You can start asking questions about perceptions here. You can start asking questions about reasons and solutions. So this is like a framework for you to be able to demystify any research questionnaire very easy. If it's going to be 15 questions, you can group it in 5, 5, so it's 3 sections, or 4, 4. But this particular one is so important, this very section. And you always use this to be able to do comparative, to know reasons why we have this, to know whether the people that are saying their perception is very familiar, are they educated persons? Are they persons that are living in Abuja, or are they persons living in Lagos, or they persons? So all of those kind of things. So that's why these questions are very important. So you want to ask questions that can also help you check why somebody is responding to something. Okay, somebody's asking which tool are you using for this? I'm just using Microsoft Word documents. So after we are done with this, tomorrow we're not going to use Kobo Toolbox, or we're going to use Google Forms. Okay, that's going to be the end of today's class. Tomorrow, I expect everyone to, okay, let's decide, let's choose what we're going to be working on. So I don't need to assign. So just choose. So choose, what are you going to be working on, so that I write your name on this stuff. So what are you working on? Mr. Abubakar, so.
Excuse
I'll
me,
be
sir.
working on data science.
Okay, good. Abubakar, hope I spelled that well. Who else is working on this? Mr. Kanayo, you are working on this, Kanayo. So just choose, everybody, please choose. But you're going to work on it on your own. Tomorrow we are reviewing them and we're entering that into.
I'm working
Okay,
on number
it's
4.
no longer a group work again, ba?
Oh, it's not going to be a group of.
Okay.
Yes. So choose one. Okay, somebody effect of Naira. So
I'm working on number 4, effect of Naira.
okay, Comfort is working on Naira. Okafor. Sorry, what's your first name? Kingsley, right?
Yes, Kingsley.
Okay, Kingsley, yes. Who else? We have some basic class.
One.
So, number 4, Joy. Okay, Joy.
One.
Who is one? Daniel. Okay. Who else?
Daniel.
Okay, number 1. Rate of PWD inclusion in politics. John. Nobody's working on number 2 and number 3. Everybody, nobody can pick any of these 2 again. So the rest persons, I'm waiting. Let's conclude. I need somebody to pick number 2 also, and number 3. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I still have 2 persons more. Queen, which one are you doing? Okay, I'm going to drop all of this in the group. So I expect you to do 12. Okay, somebody is dropping. So number 1, Dima, you can't pick number 1. So I'm going to automatically give you number 3, Dima. Okay. So who else? So you have to pick this research work. You have to get us 12 questions, and it has to be in categories. Can I say you want to pick number 1? Are you going to do number 1 and number 2 together? If you agree, then if you are doing 2, then
okay, I think 2 is climate change. Yes, that's the one.
Climate change is number 2.
That's it.
Your name is already there. Okay, so what I expect you to do is to do a complete question. So what I'm going to do is that I'm also going to, okay, I think that's going to be the end of today's class. Tomorrow we're going to write on